everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Dance Talk Realness, a podcast where we discuss all nuances concerning education and dance, because a dance experience is an experience worth talking about. I'm your host, Truly B, and today we'll be continuing on with episode 4 of our Defining Dance Ed series with my special guest, Mr. Darryl Pilate.
Yay.
Thank you so much for being here, Darryl. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Before we jump into everything, our quote for today is from Prince Zuko. I figured you would appreciate this because you're a blurred like me. So the quote is, "Sometimes clouds have two sides, a dark and light, and a silver lining in between. It's like a silver sandwich. So when life seems hard, just take a bite out of the silver sandwich."
Yeah,
I like that episode.
I like that.
I was like, he'll understand this reference. He'll get it. All right, so Darryl, I'm going to have you start off by first just introducing yourself to my audience and your journey as a dancer and dance educator. What got you to this point?
Yeah, okay, so I'm Darryl. Let's see, originally from Houston, Texas. It's an interesting history, right? Because I feel like I've talked about this so many times through when you're if you've ever applied to like a grad school program and it's in dance, or like, how did you start dancing, right? Oh, yeah. And I'm just like, I don't know. When was the first day I danced? But one thing I do always remember about dance is that I always remember it being something that we did like in our home, like with family and stuff. And so as a child of the 80s, you can understand like music videos and having the radio on. And so it was always interesting to just to have that playing and have that be like something that we did in our home. Right. And so then fast forward to a couple of years, and then I started kind of getting into it like when I was in high school. I had friends that were on our high school dance team, and I definitely was not on that yet, but I was intrigued by it and was like, wow, this is really cool. And in the South, dancing at the football games and for halftime was like a big thing. So I remember watching my first drill team like on the field dancing, and I was like, that looks really cool, and I want to be out there doing that. So fast forward to 2 more years or 3 more years, I actually auditioned for my high school dance team with another guy. We made it, but then we stopped doing it. Okay.
All right. Not where I thought that was going.
We both survived like maybe a month or 2, and he was a football player was really big into theater. And then I had like student council stuff that I was doing. So part of the requirement was that you had to go to camp. I could not go to camp. So she was like, well, just take a dance class or something, or I can't remember what it was. But anyhow, I did not continue with high school dance after that. So then I went to college to be a radiation therapy major. Oh. Yeah, I know, right?
Did not know this.
Yeah, to be a radiation therapy major, and did that for about 2 years. The beginning of my second year at Texas State University, I joined like a dance organization, and I took a jazz class just because I was like, let's just get back into doing this whole dance thing. And so the professor who taught the class was like, we just had auditions for these professor faculty pieces. She was like, you missed it, but she's like, I really need another dancer if you're interested. The rehearsals are like Friday afternoons and whatnot. So I was like, yeah, of course. And so that was really kind of like my first like dance performance, really, if you think about it. Yeah. So throughout that process, we ended up performing at ACDFA with this piece, and everyone's like, why aren't you a dance major? Why aren't you a dance major? I'm just like, I don't know. I was like, just because I just didn't want to do it. I just didn't want to be a dance major. But then I thought, well, I could probably just do a minor in dance and still do this whole radiation therapy thing, which was dumb. Because then I realized that they only took 16 people in this whole radiation therapy program. Oh. Yeah, and wow. My grades were okay, but there were some people whose grades were better, and I'm like, they were not getting in. Oh. Yeah, so I was like, okay, well, not doing that. So maybe not, maybe not. So I spent 1 more year of pretending like, I wasn't going to be a dance major. At the time now, I am a officer in this dance organization that I started a year prior, and doing all this dance stuff, being involved in everything, and met this woman who was the choreographer for the WNBA. I guess not halftime, because we perform more at halftime, but they were the pro team, right? For like kind of like you have your NBA cheerleaders and pro dancers. This was like for the WNBA side. So I went to a class she offered at my college, and so she's like, I actually have a co-ed team that the auditions are coming up in about 2 months. So I went to that, made that, right? So now I'm on this professional dance team. I'm dancing. I'm taking a couple of dance classes here and there at my university. Still not a dance major.
Hard-headed.
It was like still not. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm just going to do it on the side. But the struggle was real. I failed a class in this program, and you have to retake it if you fail it, and you only have one opportunity to retake it. And if you don't pass it, you are kicked out of this program altogether, right? So this summer, I'm like busy doing all this dancing and stuff for WNBA shenanigans and dancing at NBA games, and I was like, bump that class. I ain't going to that. So failed the class the second time in summer school. Had to talk with the dean of the program. He was like, yeah. He's like, this is it. I go, okay. And I went back to my dorm room because I was staying there over the summer doing like some conference assistant stuff. And I just was talking to my friend. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he's like, just be a dance major. I was like, you're right. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So then I became a dance major, had to take an extra year, did the whole dance education route. So I had to do like what was called a block, where I'd spent half the time in a high school. The other half of the time was with a high school dance teacher who also had a dance student teacher. So there was like two of us doing like our half day block. There was somebody that was with her like all day. So it was really cool because she just kind of sat and was like, well, the student teacher's doing this. You guys can be up kind of helping her and observing. So that was really, really neat. When I finished, I did not get certified. I had to do an alternative certification just because I was kind of at my max for college credit. Taking all these classes, they're like, you need to graduate. And I'm like, you're right, I really do. It's about that time. You need to finish your radiation therapy / dance / figuring it out. So, so anyhow, long story short, I finally finished out of college. I don't know. Am I? Yeah, we'll just keep going, right?
Keep going. Yes, I'm enjoying this.
Okay, yeah, because it's a crazy story. So, graduated with no real teaching license, so I was very limited to what I could do in Texas. All of your public schools, you had to be state certified, kind of like it is here in Maryland. So, except here they get, well, anyhow, long story short, you had to be state certified in Texas. So, I taught at a charter school with at-risk kids for a year and a half. I was a part-time dance teacher, but yeah, it was an experience. Kids were like had parole officers and like ankle bracelets coming to class. So it's like one of those things where I value that experience because it's like when I come to other schools and there's like these, I want to be like hard kids. Yeah. I'm just like, where's your ankle bracelet? Yeah. Where's your parole officer? You don't have one? Okay, great. So back up. So yeah, that's really where I kind of dove into dance education, and after that year and a half of that charter school, went and got my actual certification, and then went into just teaching public education. And so I've kind of bounced around Texas at a couple of different schools, all schools kind of growing in size. So Texas, they're defined by like 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A schools, and that's based on the population. So my first school, I believe, was a technically a 3A, so a much smaller school. Was there for 2 years. Then a 3A school where I taught English as a second language, but then directed the dance team and the cheerleaders, which was interesting. And then moved from there to a school where I was the assistant director of a program, which was nice. Just to kind of, the 2 previous schools where I was the director, it's just hard doing that by yourself, you know? And so sometimes being the assistant and being the second in command, it was sometimes like, well, let me just show you to the director's office because I can't answer that question, or I shouldn't answer it because I'm not the head person. So anyhow, did that for 3 years, and then my partner at the time moved to DC, and I followed. So that's brought me here to Maryland, where I've been at High Point for 2.5 years. So, and of course, within that long, drawn-out story, done a lot of different teaching. I've taught in studios before. I've taught in different kinds of schools, just here and there, done conventions and whatnot. So that really is what, that's brought me to today.
Like, I've known you for this full 2.5 years and did not know that there was so much involved. In this beginning.
Yeah. It was like, I'm not doing that. And I was like, no, that's what I'm doing.
You're like, guess I am. Yes, we're here now.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
All right, so the big question for this series: how do you define dance education?
Oh man, it's dance education has been so many different things to me. So I think that dance education, just the arts are important in education, period. I think dance education is important because it does so many different things within the arts. And I'm sure every artist, whatever medium that they're in, feels like their art form is like the art form, right? And it's very important. But I think just dance just aligns so much with, history, and where we've been, where we are and where we're going. I think it's so interesting to kind of see that and have people express that. And I think that that's another really thing is just being able to see and have people express that something that's very physical, that can express something that is very intangible, like an emotion. And I think just today with what kids deal with today, what adults deal with today even, I think that sometimes it's nice to have those moments where sometimes when you can't express it, there's an art form that can help you physically emote that. So, yeah.
So, what are some things that you wish you knew before you became a dance educator?
Yeah. I think, I think for me, what was interesting just in my very first job, when I was in college, I had a professor who, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about this later, just saw me as a male dance teacher and was like, you're going to have a hard time getting a job. She was like, you're going to have a really hard time getting a job. She was like, you'll probably always be at some type of urban school because, I think when you're talking about suburban areas, people probably going to be very uncomfortable with a male being left alone with predominantly a female driven profession, and so that stuck with me. I was like, wow, okay, I guess that's my future. But okay, I still want to teach dance. That didn't deter me from it. So I think when I went to this charter school, I was like, okay, this is probably the type of population I'm going to teach, for a while. So I think I just wish I was more prepared in that scenario about just different ways I could reach those students. Because for those students, it was so much more than just teaching them dance. Like, they really needed someone that understood them. And I guess now I find now, like, even being where I am today, like, kids still need that, no matter if they are, like, you know, having a rougher background, or if you know, they get everything and anything they ever ask for. They still need somebody that understands them. So that's one thing I wish I had known, especially stepping into that atmosphere. The other thing, I think, once I then went to kind of a suburban school where I was told I would probably never teach. I think I wish I knew that parents were crazy. I wish somebody had told me that.
Look.
Because let me tell you, from that charter school where I met nobody's parents, nobody's parent ever showed up to the school. I took these kids would stay with me after school, and I'm like, do you have a ride home? Yeah, I'm taking the bus, or I'm taking this, because Uber and Lyft were not a thing back then. So, you know, they would take a bus, take a this, or some people's parents would show up, but it's like, I'm going to show up to drop you off, and I'm going to show up to pick you up, and I'm not coming in to talk to anybody, to go to a place where a parent coming in being like, what is this and why? And I'm just kind of like, oh, this is what we're doing today.
Well, hello.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, first of all. Second of all, how can I help you? And third of all, you're not going to come and talk to me like this. Like you're crazy.
Oh, yeah. Look. Because all I can do is laugh to not say what's really on my spirit about people's parents.
Right.
Because, ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yes.
When I tell you that was a lesson, that I was like, somebody could have said this much sooner. Like, hey, it may not happen, but
be prepared when
it does. Be prepared.
Right.
These are some options.
Correct.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that was a huge transition for me, because so I'm kind of going down the line of like these dance education jobs I had. So, going to this next school that I went to, one of the parents was in my interview.
Oh. Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I was kind of shocked to see that, but I think that she was just a parent that really, she more or less, like, I mean, she wasn't one of the crazier ones, but she supported me in anything that I did, which was really nice. But you also, when you do that, it gives a parent kind of like the free range to kind of be like, well, let me give you my 2 cents in what you're doing. Yes. And it's like, well,
like, no
thank you. Like,
I'm okay.
If you're going to support me and support what I say, and let that be it, but don't make it be, don't let that be a thing. And then, you know, going into a place then, after that, when I was working with dance and cheer, with cheerleading, the parents are crazier. And working in a smaller school district. This was a 1 high school district, 2 middle schools, maybe about 5 elementary schools. This was in a town where everybody knew everyone. Just everybody had lived there. I was teaching people who I was a cheerleader when I was here. My grandmother was a cheerleader when she was here. Wow. Yeah. My grandfather was the basketball coach. And so happened that on my cheer team and even between my dance team, I had district like executives, like children on my team. I had the CFO, his 2 daughters were on my team. The school board president, his daughter was on my team. So it was one of those things where it was like, these people like kind of make or break like whether or not like what I do financially with the program, because he knows the money that I have and the things that I have. If I make a decision, like the superintendent is very accessible, so they could easily go to him and say, well, you know, Coach Pilate is doing this, and so then he's asking my principal. Then my principal's asking me like, so I got a call from the superintendent that you did such and such and such and such. And it's like, oh, well, they could have just came and talked to me about it, but you went way over my head.
We're going to talk about that.
So it was like, okay, that was not what I was expecting, but okay. And after a while, like, there was a whole other very toxic work relationship that happened with that, which ultimately I left, like, with no job. Coming to this other school, the school that I left before coming here, that was just a dream, you know, and I wish a lot of the things that I learned at that school, Lamar High School, which is the school I was at before coming to High Point, I wish... There's a lot of things that I wish I had known that I could have used back then. Just kind of that whole, like, standing my ground. And, you know, and I was young. Like, I started teaching at this charter school at I was 23 years old. And there were some students that were like 20, 21 still there. So, you know, it was nice to be that young with some of them, just because I was definitely relatable and it was nice. But then dealing with parents just saw me as their oldest child and was like, what do you know? You don't know anything. And I'm like, but I do.
Like, but I do.
But I do know. I promise you.
I know a lot.
I know a lot of things. And so I think that that's one thing that I wish I had known also too, just as before I became an educator, that you will have those moments where people will test you just because you're young. And it's a profession where, you know, we put a lot of our own personal, you know, feelings and ideas into our program and into what we do. It's like, I remember being young and I would choreograph a dance and have a student say, I don't like this dance. And I'd be like, well, I don't like you. Like, I made this up. Like, this was like from my head. And like, for you to be like, oh, I don't like this. Like, oh, I get really offended. And after a while, I'm just like, well, whatever. Like, you're just taking this class for a credit. You probably will never dance outside of this class. And sometimes it's just, you know, kids will just say what's on their mind. And sometimes you have to just take it with a grain of salt and just keep it going. So, yeah, those are some things that I think I wish I had known. And then that later, as you get older, I think there's a lot more you just get comfortable with. Just even dealing with parents. Like, I had a parent issue just this last week, and it wasn't that and it infuriated me just because it's like one of those things where it's like I've told my students this so many times, and then the fact that now I have a parent coming up wanting to ask a question that I'm like, well, if you had read the syllabus that I gave this child at the beginning, you would know these things. So needless to say, it still happens. You still learn things as you go. And there always are things that you wish you had done differently. But anyhow, long story short, I think that those are some things I wish I had known.
I know, definitely, to touch back on that idea of, I would call it the lack of communication when it gets to the point, because one thing that I always try to cultivate in my classroom and even dealing with parents is open communication. If you have a question, ask me. Right. My whole life I've been told I have a disposition that can be quite off-putting, apparently. I definitely don't think I have RBF. I don't think I do. I'm pretty sure I don't. I just look like I don't care about anything you have to say to me. I look very disinterested. I look like I have an attitude. Because, I mean, and I do. I'm not going to lie. Being transparent. I do. But sometimes I'm like, that's just what my face looks like. Like, if I'm just waiting, like who just sits and smiles all the time?
Right.
Like, because that would be creepier.
Right.
I'm like, you might go murder somebody.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
But it was what kept happening, because I would always get blamed for it. And I was like, well, this isn't my fault, because I tell people from the jump, I'm like, when I introduce myself, I'm like, no, I do have an attitude. I play favorites. I'm okay playing favorites. I don't mind. Like, it doesn't bother me. Yeah. Because if you're my favorite, your life isn't any easier. Right. In fact, your life is significantly harder. Right. Because I'm like, oh, you really got this. Like, you really want this. You're really trying. Yeah. Let me give you some more. Right. So my favorites never benefited from not having to turn in work, or, you know, they are the only ones who get the parts. And I'm like, well, they'll get the part if they can do it. I was like, but other people get chances. When you show me you want it and you'll work, you'll get it. I was like, but I still have favorites, because just as a person, there's just people you'll naturally be drawn more to. Correct. Some not so much. Right. And so I always wanted there to be clear communication, that regardless of what you may feel the relationship is, I still want you to tell me if there's a problem. Right. And contrary to popular belief, if I'm wrong, I'll apologize. Like, I will tell you, like, you know what? I was out of line for saying that. Right. Or, you know what? I'm sorry you felt that way. Right. That wasn't my intention. Right. And the few students and parents who took me up on that, I will say, because some of them, like, even after they graduated, they were like, you know what? I really appreciate that you were willing to even say that you knew you were wrong, or that you at least apologized for coming off a type of way. Yeah. But there were so many who wouldn't, and who would just like, oh, I'm going straight above you. And I'm like, okay, see, now once you go over me, I ain't got nothing else to say. Right. Like, it is now out of my hands. Yeah. Like, go talk to admin, because that's who you wanted to talk to. Right. But if you would have just asked, I could have told you, like, you know, the last situation. Yeah. The last pop off. Yes. Because you were there. Yes. And the whole pop off was over a lack of communication. That an assumption was made. Right. And nobody told me. Right. All I knew is people were mad. I'm just like, okay, well, you don't, and I'm wondering, I'm like, if you don't want to talk to me right now, I ain't gonna talk to you. Right. Like, I'm not begging anyone to speak to me, because to me, if I'm processing something, I want you to leave me alone. Right. Let me process it, and then I'll come talk to you. Yeah. So I just give people that courtesy, because I know I wouldn't like someone running up on me like, you okay? What's wrong?
Right. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
It's like, give me a second, and when I come to you, we can talk. Right. So come to find out, there's a whole assumption out there. And I'm like, but if it was this deep, why didn't you say something? Right. Like, even if you came at me sideways, I probably would have made a face. I may have came out my mouth sideways back. Right. But if you would have come to me first, a whole lot of other struggles could have been avoided. Right. And like, disclaimer, I've recorded things all types of out of order. Like, somebody said out of order. But people would have heard this from one of the previous conversations, that fallout was the deciding factor for me to leave. Right. Yeah. That I have been, and like, you know, for years I've been saying, hey, it's about college though. Yeah. Yeah. Might want to move on. Yeah. But I always felt bad about leaving the kids, because I am an educator at heart. Right. I love teaching. But that fallout was my deciding factor, that I was like, oh, well, if this is what we're going to do. Right. I can be somewhere. I was like, I think y'all really don't understand that all I have are degrees in dance. Yeah. This is all I do. All I do is teach dance. I am certified to teach other places. Like, this ain't it. Yeah. And if you want me to be out your life that bad, I got you. Yeah. And then I leave, and then folks are like up in arms, like, well, why'd you leave? Really? You don't miss me. Yeah. You don't. Yeah. Don't be lying to people. You don't miss me because I was a bitch. You don't miss me. You're good. You got it. Yeah. But now you have to adjust to a new situation. I'm living my best life. Let me tell you, I'm having a great time teaching adults. It is lovely.
Yes, I know. I bet.
When they be tripping, I ain't gotta call home. Yeah. It's like, you know what? Read the syllabus. Yeah. Oh, you don't want to come?
Peace.
Bye. You grown. Yeah. Work your life out. Just know you can only miss this many classes.
And that's it.
Living my best life. Right. But
it
is what it is, and it happens. But I do agree that is something that would have been a valuable lesson to have learned when we were in all the seminars.
Right.
Because my BFA is dance education, got certified, coming straight out.
Yeah.
And that was something never covered.
Right.
Even dealing with how to talk to colleagues, that was never addressed.
Yeah.
And it was like a trial by fire every single time for all of these lessons. I'm like, if y'all knew this was a possibility, it could have been a unit on this just to give people an idea.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, even, because, you know, and not in every situation have parents been crazy. Like, I've had some very sweet parents, and it's like, you know, how do you cultivate those parents to where they can maybe talk to some of the other crazy ones? Mm-hmm. To get them kind of on board. And it's like, the end of the day, like, I'm 36 years old. I'm not working to ruin your child's life. Like, and it seems like that's what a lot of parents are like, well, you were ruining my daughter's life and you were making her feel. And it's like, I don't have time for that. Like, that's I'm too old to be doing that. Like, nobody's trying to do any of that. Like, I've had people, a mother and father, sit across from me in my office, and we're like, you are the reason why our daughter does not want to dance anymore. She is not eating. She's not sleeping. And we're going to get to the bottom of this. And I said, well, you didn't do whatever you feel like you need to do.
Like, well, first of all, maybe take your baby to a therapist.
Right, exactly.
Maybe get that checked.
Maybe
help her work through some things.
Right. But, I don't know.
I think, because I've had that happen more than, first of all, let me tell you, the struggles have just been real in these education streets.
Yeah.
What a piece of advice, not even really advice, I shouldn't call it advice, but an observation, I would say, from one of our mutual colleagues, Marcina. I'm going to try to kidnap her onto the show.
Yes.
She's just going to have to bring her baby with her. It's fine. But she really, every time it would happen, because it happened at least once at each school that I was at. And if I was at a school for 2 years, it would happen just one good time. I was at another school for 5 years. It happened really, I don't even, maybe twice. Definitely one full time that was hilariously documented. Like, I documented the mess out of that one. That one, it's funny looking back at it now. It was not funny in the moment. Yeah. Another one was kind of like half, because I don't know, that parent was always tripping. She was like that with everybody. She was just a mess. Yeah. But it was just that idea that, you know, as much as we want to have been charged with preparing them for the next level, they're still kids. And they don't really know how to process everything still. Like, yes, they're teenagers. They're almost technical adults. But they still haven't, I guess you could say, lived enough to have enough life experience to be able to say, oh, okay, this is how you deal with this emotion. This is how you deal with this feeling. Right. And so Marcina would always get on me and tell me, she was like, well, you have to remember, it's still a child. They are just putting the blame on you because it's easier. Right. And I'm like, well, bitch. I'm like, I didn't ask for this. What about me?
Yeah, right.
I'm like, it's not easy for me.
Yeah, exactly.
And I am still not in a place in life where I can accept that. I get it in theory. Right. I understand it. But I'm just like, yo, like, if I'm upset that I can't pay my bills, I'm going to blame you? Yeah. Let me just go cry then or something. But to drag someone else
into, like, my home. Yeah.
Yeah, like, that to me, because I don't remember doing that as a teenager. And so I'm like, I don't understand that mentality. Right. I cut up towards the end of high school. Right. No, and I blamed a lot of other situations. But I 100%, because I was in band most of my life. I never once blamed my band directors, because no matter how frustrated I was, upset with things, tired of things, overwhelmed, I always knew that these two people did everything they could to help me be prepared. Right. And now, if I didn't hold up my end, yes, I would try to shift the blame some type of way. But it never got shifted to them that they weren't doing their job and they hurt my... And I'm like, Man, both of them hurt my feelings all the doggone time. My feelings stayed hurt in high school, fooling around with them. Like, oh my God. Yeah. Because one, she's still, I think she's still back home in Detroit. Mm-hmm. And the other, he passed a couple years ago. Mm. And like, I'll never forget, I was doggone audition for college, and he's talking to the band director for where I'm trying to go, and he's like, okay, well, can you tell us a little bit about her? He's like, well, she's an excellent trombonist, but she's real lazy. And I'm like, yo, I'm auditioning right now. Like,
can you not?
Could you not embarrass me? And like, I will never forget that he did that, because I'm sitting in the room just like, he just put my hurt. Yeah. Like, it stung so bad because he was right. Like, he wasn't lying.
Right.
But I was like, yo, you are not supposed to tell them that. Like, you just put me on blast. Like, feelings hurt. Yeah. But I didn't blame him for that.
Right.
Like, I wasn't like, well, if I didn't get enough money, it was his fault. It was like, nah, because I did mess up on that scale. But that was my fault. Maybe had I actually practiced, maybe that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
But just that mentality of that shift, that it's almost like that idea of being seen as an easy target. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think I took the most issue with. Yeah. And it's part of why I was always rebelling against stuff and pushing back and staying in trouble. I tried not to. I legitimately, I tried in my own way to not be a troublemaker. But I also am like, you're not going to talk to me like I'm your dog.
Right. And it's like, it's one of those things too, because I find myself kind of doing the same thing where it's like, you know, I think we just work so hard to build these programs and to build these dancers, and we put so much effort, like we talked about before recording, that, we have all these things that we bring to our students and to our school, that are our personal things, what I mean? That we try to make that atmosphere something that is good. And it is that kind of that hurt feeling when you feel like that a parent or a student is putting something on you that that you did not do, that you don't have any part of. So maybe it's just us as artists, I don't know, that we just too sensitive.
Yeah, like as Erykah Badu said, like, we're artists.
Yes.
We sensitive about our shit. Like, cause legit, for real, like actual sensitive.
Yeah.
And it's like, nobody likes having their feelings hurt.
No.
And as mean as I can be, because again, transparent. I know me.
You're stern. I think that you're stern, and it's a part of, what's interesting is that, like, I've met so many other, dance teachers and dance teacher friends and stuff, and you remind me of my friend Tashane, who's in Texas, and she and I kind of have followed each other around in, like, our dance history, education, or career history at least too. She's stern. She's just stern. She don't take no shit from nobody, parent or student. And I've seen her just in parent meetings before, where she's just very much so, like, if an administrator's in the room, which usually in some of these meetings they are, she still runs that whole meeting. That administrator is just there, just to, like, you are a witness to this, but she's running that entire meeting. She's telling you what it is. And there was a parent that got out of line, and she blatantly said, when you can learn how to have a conversation with me, we can finish this meeting. But if not, then this meeting is over. Yes. And I'm just like, yes, stand your ground and let a parent know that you're not going to come in here talking to me any kind of way because you feel like you can. Because I'm bound by, this school system. No.
Yeah. Because, like, at the end of the day, and something that I feel that parents and students seem to forget is that we're still people. I'm like, yes, my job description is teacher.
Right.
But I am a person first. I am somebody's parent.
Correct.
I was like, so, first of all, what you're not going to do is come in here and talk to me like I'm nobody.
Right.
Like, we can have a conversation.
Yeah.
But when you start talking at me, now that's when I get called being out of line in meetings. Because I'm like, so we're talking like this now. Oh, okay. So let me talk how you understand.
Right.
Which apparently is frowned upon. So you might go back. I mean, I was trying to meet them where they were.
Right.
I'm making sure they understand.
Yeah.
But it's like, as I like stern, because I was like, I'll tell you. I was like, I can be me. I don't care. Yeah. Like, I understand. I come across, what is the word I used to use? Because I tried to adjust this so it at least was a softer blow, at least for me. Is that I can be seen as being abrasive. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's cool. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
Like that, it doesn't bother me that I'm like that.
Right.
I've come to terms with, that's just who I am. Mm-hmm. But at no point in my history has that ever dictated how I taught. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to like you to teach you. Mm-hmm. And that was also a frowned upon statement. Mm. And I was like, well, y'all can. I was about to say something real inappropriate.
Yeah. But that's true though. You know what I mean? Like there are going to be people. Yeah,
like just as a person, I'm not gonna like every
person. I mean, I know you should think, oh, they're a child, they're a teenager, you should like them. No. But there's just some they give you so much animosity. Mm-hmm. I have to, right? Like I have to still, like I can't be like even for that student whose mom sent me this email and she was in my class the next day. That child still asks me questions. That child still asks for things. I could be like.
Yeah.
Ask your mom to ask the administration to get, you know what I mean? I could have been real rude, you know what I mean? But I was like, of course not. Yeah. I'm going to answer that. So I have to put all that, I can't be petty. I have to put all that aside. I'm going to put that aside and I'm going to still treat you like that never happened. And like, we're going to keep going forward. And the thing about it is too, is like you said, it's one of those students that, you know, I really I really pushed her to try to make it to that concert because she's good. Yeah. And she's a production. She's not even dancer. She's a production student. So I just pushed. I really knew that this is something, she's a firm person. I know that if I gave her a task, she's going to make sure that it gets done. Yeah. And I don't have very many students that are like that. So it was one of those things where it's like, I really need you there because I know that you're going to put in the work. But then when mom comes sideways, now I'm just like, she honestly, she has kind of lost a little bit of credit. So maybe I don't really need her around anymore. Yeah. And that's the unfortunate thing, right? Like your parent did that for you.
Man, sometimes I was like, your mama be messing you up.
Yeah.
Like, dang.
Yeah, you could have been, you could have had it easy. Mm-hmm. But now it's like, okay, I see you've shown me your true colors. I see your parents' true colors. Mm-hmm. Fine. Okay. Yeah. I just need you to do the bare minimum. And then other than that, that's it. Any opportunities that I have, I'm just going to give it to someone else. There's other people that are just as, you know.
Yes.
Competent.
For sure.
So.
I'm 100% petty. And I just, I have literally, and you know, over time, it's just gotten pettier. Like, I don't know. Like, you would think that it would have improved. And nope. I just, because I've 100% taught a class in silence because I was told they didn't like my tone of voice. And I'm like, what? I'm like, number one, I still to this day don't really understand what that meant. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you don't like how I talk? Like, I literally talk like this. Like, this is just, that's what? Me, yeah. Like, I'm loud. Like, I've gotten in trouble my whole life for being the loud one. Like, that's just, I don't hear it. So, to me, I'm just like, I'm just talking normal. Or what happens more is that I love what I do. Right. And I am extremely passionate about it. Mm-hmm. So, it may sound like I am, like, really digging into you. And I was like, and it's not personal. Right. It's because I really just want you to get it because I love it and I get it. And even if you're never going to do it again, right, I don't want you to walk away from this and I didn't give it everything I could. Right. And so Right. They didn't like the tone of my voice. And I was like, bet, I won't talk. Yeah. I can still teach, though. Mm-hmm. And if you ask me a question, I'll still answer you. I'll give you your answer. Yeah. But am I going to ask you how your day was? No, I don't care no more. Yeah. And I don't have to. Like, it's not in my, it was not in my contract. Like, I don't have to like you. Right. I have to teach, though. Right. I was like, and that I'll do. Right. And I will say, it was funny because, wow, I 100% stopped giving some people corrections because I was like, you didn't want them.
Right.
Like, my whole job is literally me trying to teach something to you.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it incorrectly, that I fix it so you don't die.
Right.
And you don't like me correcting, so fine, I won't say anything.
Yeah.
I'll just let you live your life.
Yeah. Go for it.
Like, I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah.
Because no matter what I do now, I'm going to be wrong. Mm-hmm. So at least I will be called wrong for not speaking.
Right.
And I'm okay with that, and I did get called out for that too. They're like, well, the atmosphere has changed. Yes.
Yeah.
You tried to get me fired.
Yeah.
Yes, it changed.
Yeah,
I don't like you.
Yeah.
Like, it became personal when you were almost about to cost my children a way to eat, somewhere to live.
Right.
It became personal in that moment. Oh, no, I don't like you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like you. I don't like your mama. I don't like your daddy. If you're getting your mama pregnant with you. Like,
Right.
I don't like anybody involved in your lineage.
Being.
Like, I don't like nobody.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was hired to come here between this hour and this hour to teach, and so I'm going to do that.
Right.
And I can do that without speaking to you.
Right.
I'm good at what I do. I can teach in silence. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So, I be petty.
Yeah.
I try not to be. I thought I was going to do better last semester, and it was like, it welled up, and I was like, this just might be my new me. So 2020, we're gonna try better. Yeah. We're gonna try, because I was like, I was like, it wells up now. That I'm like, so this is what we gonna do.
That's what you're doing.
I was like, I can meet you where you are, but I don't know that you're gonna appreciate it because I don't appreciate it. But let's just see.
Yeah.
Because maybe that's what you need.
Yeah.
Petty all day. I need to do better. All right. So before we close up, I did want to hit on a topic that you brought up.
Yes.
We talked a little bit about it. You brought it up a little, but now we can go a little bit more in depth. So, men and boys in dance, and the side note, the parameters, approaches to educating the students and audience, admin, parents. And from what we were just discussing off the record, just the idea that they kind of, some don't understand you as a dance educator.
Right.
And that for some, like, just the thought of this is still hilarious.
Yeah,
like, the surprise that they have when they see that you're actually in the room dancing with the kids, like actually physically teaching them the movements. It's like, oh.
So you really get up and dance with them. Yeah.
You
don't just sit by. You don't say. Like, you're actually up there, like, teaching them that stuff. Like, yeah.
So, because I've received that before, but I am so sure that as a male, it is a whole different level of that.
Yeah, I think for me, it's always been, being in dance education, I feel like I've always had to, like, prove myself that I am competent to teach, that I'm able to teach. In Texas, the dance education field is probably 98% Caucasian female. Yes. Yeah. And that's what you see at most schools. You see very few women of color, and then you see very few men. And then take that down, you see very few men of color. I can probably count on one hand the number of men of color that are dance teachers in Texas, at least. I can also count on one hand the number of male dance teachers that are of color in Prince George's County. Yeah.
I was like, I can do that. Like, we can't seem to get past this one hand.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And, in Texas, the thing was always, like I said, it's very heavily dance team, drill team oriented. So, like, your halftime thing. And it was always like, well, when they go to camp, where do the boys sleep? When they change, where do the boys change? What do the boys wear? Should the boys carry a palm if you're doing a palm routine or not? Should, all these different questions, right? And I think It is a touchy thing, even for me, because it's like, sometimes you get into like a boy's sexuality when you're deciding what they might or might not be comfortable with wearing or doing.
Yeah.
I think if you have young men that might at that age identify as gay, then there's some things that they're like, you know what, I don't mind wearing that particular costume. I don't mind wearing doing the palms, and I think that's a conversation that there are many dance teachers, probably because they're Caucasian females, maybe have an issue with having that conversation because they don't understand it, or like maybe it's a religion thing and they're like, well, I don't want to go there with them on that. So I know that was always kind of an issue. I've had very few male dancers that have, when I was in Texas at least, that definitely just embraced the whole drill team, dance team thing, loved it. One is actually now in Oklahoma studying dance. The other one, I don't think he's doing any type of dance at all. But, it just felt like it's really hard. And it's bad enough that, they get that stigma potentially from their other classmates in the school. It's like the one thing you would want to do is find this thing that you're interested in and know that you have support from your dance teacher and from a dance community. And sometimes I always felt like there was a part of the dance community, at least like in Texas, that really just frowned upon. Like, I don't want males on my dance team. Like, I don't think that's, maybe I'm going to start this whole separate male dance team where they do break dance stuff. And it's like, well, maybe they don't want to do that. Maybe they want to study ballet. Maybe they want to study jazz. Maybe they want to do that palm or lyrical routine that you're doing. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's just interesting that there were some dance teachers that still shied away from like feeling like, oh, I think they themselves were uncomfortable, and so they didn't know how to make the atmosphere comfortable for those young men.
That makes sense.
Now being here, I feel like there are, and maybe it's just because we're in the Northeast. I think that it just seems natural, you know what I mean, just to have males in your dance programs, males on dance and dance companies. I don't think that it's not I guess it's taboo, the word I'm looking for. It's not something that people really get all up in arms about. It's like, okay, he dances. Yeah. That's cool.
I will say, really in particular, speaking about in the county, that when I first started, it was not as many boys. But I will say that they were wanted. We just couldn't convince anyone to do it. Like, I don't want to do that. I ain't going to be up there like that. And so it was maybe year 5 for me in the county when I started really getting guys. And I don't even know where I got them from. They were like so random. I stole one from band. And he made his little brother come.
Okay.
They dragged their friend with them who was playing. He was on the baseball team.
Yeah.
And okay, you know what? Either around the same time or right before them, there were these 2 other guys, but they were real sketchy. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to let you go. Because you're just here to try to fill the girls up. And that's inappropriate.
Right. Yeah.
But those other 3, those were my babies. And when I tell you, they really let me explore and experiment with having male dancers as a part of the company, which was amazing. One of my favorite pieces we did, we called it, I think we called it Oceans. And so everyone's like the water. And then we had one who was like, she ends up getting killed in the sea. Okay, so trying to find the best way to sum that up. Like, she dies. Okay. She drowns. Yeah. They kill her. Okay. And so, but their costume for that, so the girls had like this little crop bra top situation, dance shorts with a little bustle on the back, so you have their little water movement. Yeah. And the boys had these sheer skirts. over just dance shorts. Mm-hmm. And so when I first threw it out there, there was like,
Miss.
Ma.
Really? That's what we do?
And I'm like, yeah, you're the waves. You have to. This is the costume.
Yeah.
And I think once because there was a moment. They were just like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Because I was like, we're going straight from jazz pants to skirts, guys. Like, we're here. We're doing it.
We're doing it, yes.
But once they took ownership of what it was, and they understood why that costume was happening in the context of the piece.
Yeah.
They owned it. And then the fools are like running around rehearsal in the doggone skirts. And I'm just like, y'all get on my nerves. But there was that initial hesitation. I think it was from like, the external.
Correct. Yeah.
Things all the time. Because like I didn't do this after I left that school. Mm-hmm. But with that company, the boys wore makeup also when we performed. Mm-hmm. That took a little convincing also. And I had to like really, I was like, look, okay, first, you ain't got to do a full face, but I do need you to wear this liner. Yeah. Because on that recording, I need your eyes visible. I need to be able to see that separate from the rest of your face. Yeah. Like I'm not, you don't have to do a full like beat face like the girls like. Right. But this liner's happening. Yeah. And it was cute because I always had to do their liner for them. They're like, Mommy!
I needed that.
And I'm like, oh my God. Come on, child. Jesus. But I know one in particular, he was struggling with a lot. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I know I was pushing him in a direction that it wasn't that he didn't want to go. He wasn't ready to go. Right. And I was like, well, we're here now because this is the costume and I need you to do this. Yeah. And having to deal with those external factors, I think played the biggest part of it. And so like how you were saying that some just don't feel comfortable. So it's hard for them to make a comfortable space. Mm-hmm. Because I had some learned behaviors I had to work past. Once I was comfortable and I was able to just really talk to them, like, okay, just matter of fact, okay, this is what we're doing. This is why I'm asking you to do it. Yeah. And able to just, where it wasn't a big deal. Right. Then they were able to at least know, at least in this space,
it's safe, and it's comfortable, and it's for a purpose. Because sometimes, like, I think that's the thing that they need. It's like when they need that ammunition. So when someone said, "Man, why you in a dress?" Be like, "Well, it's part of the costume. Like this is what my dance teacher wanted me to." You know what I mean? Like if they don't have that, if they don't have like that why, right? Like it's hard to kind of have some type of defense. Yes. When they are approached or feel like they are attacked or and I think that takes having those conversations and being very matter of fact and saying, this is what we're doing and this is why we're doing it. So yeah, I think if a lot of people, if you ever find yourself, people listening, watching, find yourself with males like on your team or males wanting to be a part of dance, like I think if they are there, it's a lot easier than it is to get them there. Yes. You know what I mean? Like, because sometimes when they're there, sometimes they already know kind of what it entails. And so they're like, yeah, I'm here. Like, I'm ready to go. And there's a gentleman that I have in my class now who never dresses out. But when I tell you when it's time to get up and stretch, he's up and stretching. When it's time to dance, he's up and dancing. And I can never get him to change. And it's to a point where I was just like, damn it, I'll leave some clothes. And like if getting clothes or like you don't want to carry clothes because he doesn't carry a backpack or anything. I'm like, if you don't want to carry the clothes, like you can just leave stuff in here. And like just that way it's here and you have it. And he's like, yeah, okay. And then he didn't bring anything. So I was like, okay. But it was funny during our concert, I said, so you're going to do dance next year? He's like, I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, okay, all right. It's just one of those things where it's like he doesn't look like the type of person who would be in it. And maybe, he just told me that just because he's like, yeah, I don't know, and probably isn't going to do it, and that's fine. Yeah. But the fact that, at least in this moment for this year that he has with me, that he does feel comfortable. And one of the things I tell my students, even the ones that are dance one and aren't going to continue, and the ones that do, it's like, you know what? Take this experience with you, because one day you might have a daughter, you might have a son that want to dance, and at least you can share this experience with them and say, you know what? I did dance when I was in school. And so you can at least have that connection with them. Yeah. And that's why I tell the boys, like, you might have a daughter one day that is going to want to dance. And you can be like, you know what? Dad danced in high school. And yeah. And it's nice to have those. I think it's good for them to realize that, this is going to matter to me potentially one day. So.
And I think it's really important and admirable and just pure awesomeness of you to be providing that space where he even felt comfortable enough to say that he's thinking about it.
Right.
Because so many of them would be like, no. Like, as soon as I get up out this class, we are done. Never again. Yeah. And I learned through having boys like that when they say maybe, that I'm like, I will take that.
Yeah.
Because you might surprise me and I might see your name on this roster next year. And I'm like,
oh,
you get back.
Okay.
How you gonna dress this year though?
Right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right, we'll work on it.
I've even had kids. This kid, he needed this credit. He was a junior. He needed my credit. He did not get it, but then he was like, I was like, so next year you're going to need a fine art credit. So I was like, I guess you could take, there's art, there's theater. I'm giving the list. I'm like, he's like, but what if I take this class again? I go, well, let's talk about this because you didn't get the credit.
Like, are you sure?
Are you sure that's what you want? Because if you come back, it's the same thing.
Like, it's still this class.
It's still this class. Like, you still dress out, you still dance and everything. He's like, no. He's like, if I do it again, I'm gonna dance this time. I'll go, all right. Well, if you're sure, go for it. And maybe that just says something about the type of atmosphere we all create. That sometimes, there's. You probably had it too, where this child that you were like, you don't like me, I don't like you. You have dressed and participated in my class, but once you out the next year, why are you coming up in my room talking about, hey? I'm like, hi, what are you doing in here?
Did you leave something from last year? I threw stuff out. Right?
And they're like, and they like stand there like, I missed this class. I'm like, do you?
No, you don't.
No, you don't. Get out of here.
You lie.
Get out of my face. Like, no, you don't. I have them all the time. They just come in there and they're like,
yes, like the room
is still here. I'm like, yep, still.
Good times.
Good times.
Right.
No,
it was not. It was horrible.
Right. You hated this. I hated you. Like, get out.
Like please. Go right back out that door. Oh my God. That was always amazing to me. I was like, why are you back?
Right.
Like, I'm confused.
You don't like this. You don't want to do this. Yeah. It's fine. But then sometimes those are the same ones that then if they were like a freshman or sophomore, then like a year later, then they're like, hey, so can I get back and dance again? I'm just like, yeah, sure. If you want to.
If that's what you want. Yeah. Talk to your counselor.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a girl who, she was fine. She was decent. But I think she's super smart, probably needed to take some other classes. And so she came up to me and was like, okay, so what periods would you have dance to? And so I'm like, okay. Coming back after 2 years.
It's like, all right. We're just trying it again.
Okay, go ahead. That's fine.
Yeah. Like, you gotta love it sometimes.
Yeah, no, it is. And then to the other, but I think that goes into like, sometimes I wish then that my colleagues came into my class and could actually see what's going on in there, so that way they wouldn't ask those crazy questions like, so you really get up and so you're really up there dancing with them. It's like, what do you think? How do you think they learn that? Like, they're not learning it by video. They're not teaching themselves.
And so, I really wonder like, I've always wondered this. What do people think we're doing in there the whole time? Like, I think they really do think we just cut on a video and like, here, watch this.
Yeah.
Because I would get and I'm sure you've probably gotten it too, the questions of, even from students, and I hated this question. Like, oh, where's this dance from? Like, where can I look up the link? And I'm like...
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you can't.
Expletive, delete it. It came from my brain.
Like, you're not gonna find.
There's no video unless you record your classmates. There is no video
of this.
I just made it.
Yeah.
And then the looks of just like you made it. This is what I do for a living.
Yes.
Like, yes. If I couldn't do this, I have no business with this job.
Right.
Like, this is just...
Yes.
And like, oh, God, that was...
People do that because, like, I also do a lot of my music mixing and cutting, and, like, especially when we do, like, little hip-hops, I'm, like, meshing music, and they're like, okay, so on YouTube, what's the name of this song? I'm like, well, you're not going to find the whole song because it's a mashup of things. Sorry, copyright. It's a mashup, so, yeah, you're not going to find it anywhere. But, yeah, no, that same question of, like, so... where is this dance from? And like, but sometimes it's so cool because some of the students who really get it, like if they've had me a couple of years, they're just like, man, you're so talented, Mr. Pilate. Like you just did, like I know you came up with that, and so like it's like, oh, thank you for understanding.
I appreciated those
what
kids.
I do.
They were like, your brain, is really.
Right, they're like, where did you come up with where do you find this music? Where did you find this music that we're dancing to? I was like, just be listening to stuff.
Just do things.
I'm definitely that person where I'm sitting someplace, and if I like the song, I'm like Shazam.
Oh,
like,
yes.
Shazam this real quick and get
all
the
the
song.
time.
Yeah.
All the time. Mm-hmm. I especially love, this sounds way fancier than what it is, but when I'm like traveling, like if I'm in a different country and a random song comes on, if I have access to Wi-Fi, even if I don't, because sometimes Shazam will act right and save it.
Yeah.
I am just up in there like, trying to catch the song because I'm like, oh my God, I've never heard this.
Yeah.
It sounds cool. I need to be able to look this up.
Right.
So I stay doing that. Like that is one thing I do miss about the classroom. I don't miss it a lot.
Yeah.
I don't want to lie, but I do miss. I had more opportunities to create, which is actually the opposite of what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But for like my current gig is I'm not required. So it's like, okay, if I don't make y'all a combination for an assessment, I'm not making anything.
Yeah.
So it's a little weird. So I do miss that part and being able to, because Marcina used to talk about me for my concerts were always so long. And she was like, how many dances you got? 20?
20.
She's
Yeah,
like,
I just had 19.
How many of those are student choreography? I mean, the students learn the choreography. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
I was like, no, I made all those.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's why you're always tired. I was like, but I don't know how to not
do that.
Yeah, I was like, I just...
Isn't that what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah, like, that's what I was supposed to do, right? And I just, for the life of me, could not stop until that last concert. Short.
Yeah.
And it was just the pieces that were done before we had gone out of town.
Yeah.
And it burned my soul to do that.
Yeah.
But I am also petty enough to prove a point.
Right. Yeah.
And my point was, I don't have to do this.
Right.
We can legit make something happen without me putting any more effort in. I was like, I make all these pieces because I love it. Right. Like, that's why I do it.
Right.
I was like, but company was never a requirement. These class pieces, those will get done.
Yeah.
Because that's your grade.
Right.
That's what I'm required to do. I was like, anything outside of school hours, it's because I love it and I wanted to give you more opportunities.
Right.
But we can cut it though.
Right.
And I can go home when the bell rings.
Right.
Because I can happily take my child and peace out. See y'all tomorrow.
Right.
But it was, I do miss those opportunities. I need to start reaching out more so I can start setting works places. But I don't know if I'm allowed to come into county yet. We gotta check that paperwork.
Okay.
Because I think I gotta be gone a year before.
Okay.
I don't know. We didn't really confirm this.
Oh, okay.
I've asked these questions.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'll come and like do a workshop.
It might be a couple of months.
Shut the fuck up.
I think it's only a couple of months because I think Is it the same as like when someone retires from the county?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because my one of our APs just retired, and he was saying how he has to be out. He can't do anything, come into any building for X amount of months. But he didn't say a year. But it wasn't as much as a year though. I don't think. I think it's only like.
Let's look into that. I'll come set up piece.
Yeah.
I'll come do some workshops.
Yeah.
Live my best life.
Yes.
All right. So before I let you go, I have my ultimate dance trio question for you.
Okay.
So your goal is to only pick 3. So far, most people have been obedient.
Okay.
It is difficult, but that is the purpose.
Okay.
So my question for you is, if you could completely master 3 dance forms from anywhere in the world, which 3 would you choose and why?
Master any 3 dance forms.
From anywhere. Yes.
So this is going to be very telling.
It's all right. It's all right.
Because in all of the many things I did to get to where I am in dancing, one thing that I never did, and I am like kicking myself for it, is that I never did tap.
Really?
I have
been assuming this whole time. Okay.
I have never been a tap dancer, and it's so funny because we'll talk about in another show. One of the things that I perform in, sometimes they do tap numbers. And I think people assume, they're like, oh, so you tap. I go, I can shuffle ball change really well. I can tap my heel, tap my heel, and it sounds really good. But outside of that, that's it. I own tap shoes. I bought tap shoes because my goal was that at some point I wanted to get back and take like a beginning tap class and try to learn. So that is my number one.
Oh my God! Yes.
That I would love to master.
Okay, we got to make that one.
Yeah. Yes. I do. So tap, and the other thing too is that I have 2 tappers in my class that they just tapped when they were younger and still remember it and still love it. So some of I think the 2 of them might do like a little tap duet or something in a concert.
Oh,
so that'd be kind of cute. And I'll be like, I did absolutely nothing for that.
Like I didn't help them
at all. Maybe a costume or 2, but that's about it. Like I didn't. It sounds good to me.
Okay, we need to remedy that one.
Yes.
Like that one, I know we can fix.
Yes,
we can do that one.
Okay, so tap. I would really love to do more, and I don't know if it's like what dance form it is, but I always see it whenever I watch those Shin Yu commercials. Like a very, very acrobatic, Japanese dance. Is that because you've been to Japan before? Is that like a thing, or is that like a thing that we've Americanized?
Okay, so actually, I watched one of the advertisements on Facebook. So they are it's like they're trying to bring back traditional Chinese dance.
Oh, it's Chinese, not Japanese. Okay, sorry.
But it is happening here in the States because I think they're not allowed to do it in China.
I did go to Shinyu. I've seen them live. And I think you're right. That is kind of something that they talk about, like whenever they come out and introduce it. That it's not allowed. Yeah. But that is a traditional.
I believe so, or they're at least trying to bring elements of it in, and I just always make the assumption that things have been Americanized.
Right. No.
So when I heard that, I was like, okay, but because it wasn't. I saw them. Last year or year before last, and that was when I found out that it was like you're not based.
And
yeah,
I know, right?
And so for me, I'm always assuming that there's like some Americanization happening,
right?
But dude, that type of training,
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, just some of the intricateness of like they have those. what are those things? They look like little, they look like dinner plates.
Yes,
you know, and
like
they like, yeah, and they throw them and they come back. I'm like, oh my God, how'd you do that?
Them things be all out in the audience, man. So y'all get a souvenir.
Can you throw that back? Throw that back.
I'm gonna come back for that after the show, but you can take a picture with it. You can take a picture.
Sorry.
Like, tragic if it was me.
Okay, so that, and then I guess my third one would be, I would love to learn, like Hawaiian. Which doesn't Tamisha know how to do that?
Does she?
I think she does.
Shut up, does she?
I think she really does.
Why hasn't that been a PD?
I don't know why that hasn't been a PD, but she really is actually like good at it. She really is. I may have to. We have to text and ask her this.
Yes.
I think she does know how to do. Either she studied it or she just learned it, but she knows how to do some Hawaiian like grass skirt like dancing.
I'm about
like,
to text her right now.
That is like her. That is like her thing.
I feel cheated if she says yes. So wait, you were going to do this before I left? Like you weren't going to share this knowledge?
I know, and I'm surprised that she isn't like, I'm gonna come to every school and I'm gonna teach you guys some Hawaiian dancing, and I don't know where she learned it. But yeah, I would love to learn how to do that. Like maybe like a cross between that and like belly dancing would be good. I have a lot of belly, so I should be really good at it. Get that?
I don't know that that's the correct math for that statement.
It's not.
Throw something at you. All right, so we had tap. What did we even call that style? I don't know. Acrobatic. There we go. We'll call it acrobatic dance. Something. Yeah. And
Chinese acrobatic, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, we call it Chinese acrobatic dance.
And
Hawaiian hula.
Hula. Yeah, hula is the word. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the word.
Yeah.
Legit. We're going to see what she says. All right, so I don't know if she's going to answer while we're still on here, but we'll be sure to keep people posted on what the response is, because if she says yes to this, then I definitely feel cheated. Because I should have been involved in a PD where I got to learn something. All right, so, but all of that being said, thank you again, Darryl, for coming out. Yeah. It's been a great conversation. Yeah. And of course, you're going to be on here a lot more.
Yeah.
All right, so thanks again for joining us here at Dance Talk Realness. Be sure to follow us across all social media on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, all the things. Just make sure you're following us. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, because I want to be able to keep bringing you fresh new content. Make sure you're also engaging with the questions so you can be part of the conversation. Looking forward to talking with you soon. See you next week. Bye.